Hey, what's up guys? Terry here from Terry Saturn Music. Hope you're all well. Today I thought I would do a lesson on slash chords. I think they're really useful, particularly if you're trying to spice up your chord progressions or you're trying to make the songs you've written feel a little bit more pro, a little bit more natural. It really helps with transitions between chords and it helps to create a bit of tension that maybe you didn't have there before if you were using just standard bar chords and standard open chords. So I guess let's define it first of all. So what are slash chords? Slash chords essentially are inversions. They are chords where the lowest note, the root note, is not that of the chord. So for example, if we took a C major chord, which is C, E and G, we would expect the C to be the lowest note. Now in a slash chord, we actually play a different note. So in this instance, I'm going to choose a G, which is the fifth, so play the fifth in the bass. So that would be a C over G. Now the other reason they get the name, so slash chords, is because of the way they are written. And the way they're written is they write the chord on the left-hand side with the slash, hence the slash chords, and on the other side have another note, which is actually the bass note you're going to be playing. So in that example of the C with a G in the bass, we would play, or we would write rather, C, which tells us the triad or the chord, the slash, and then the G, which tells us the root note or the new root note that we're going to play. So C over G. There's loads of different versions of these. Obviously, they don't have to be strictly open chord slash chords as well. There's loads of things you could do with any triad. And you can also do things like diatonic slash chords where you're using notes that are actually from the scale, and then non-diatonic ones where you're using notes that aren't from the scale for extra trickery and a bit of fun. So why might I use slash chords? Well, slash chords again can do a couple of things. As I mentioned before, they can really smoothen up transitions. I'm going to give you some pop stroke rock examples, but you can use it across all music, heavily used in jazz, but pretty much any genre of music you can ever imagine. Country, again, widely using it. It's something which is a really awesome tool, and if you've not come across it, as soon as you start to do it, you'll be like, oh my god, this is great. And if you've also learned some common pop songs, it's likely that you've come across some of the ones we're going to look at today. So let's take a look. First of all, we'll take a look at Lady Gaga's song, Shallows. So in this particular one, we're going to go from an E minor 7 actually, and we're going to go to a D over F sharp. So again, that's a D, which tells us the triad. So that's our D major part, slash F sharp. So it's going to tell us we're playing an F sharp in the bass. So again, real different sound, as you can tell. If we're going to play a E minor 7 to D, now that's a completely different sound to. You can already feel that that is less definite. Feels like it wants to move somewhere, which is why, again, slash chords are so cool, because they really give you that feeling that they need to resolve somewhere, which means that they're naturally building up a lovely tension to go to the next chord. And in this instance, perfect chord to go to, we're going to go to G. So, if you know the song, you'll recognize that part. Then we're going to go to a C add 9. To a G, to a D with a little embellishment at the end. But the only chord in there that is going to be the slash chord is that D over F sharp. Now that's something you're going to hear in loads of songs, super common. I'll give you another example, just going to put my capo on. So this example is actually a song by Ed Sheeran called A-Team. Sure you've heard of the guy, but anyway. This song has got exactly the same chord in it as the Shallows example, so we've got the D over F sharp. Again, in this instance, we've got a capo on here on the first fret, though Ed Sheeran probably has his guitar tuned down one step and has his capo on the second fret. But nonetheless, we're going to go the opposite way to Shallows now. We're going to go from G, D over F sharp, to E minor, but without the E minor 7 like we did in Shallows. And then as you see, we'll go across to a C, back to a G. But again, the one we want to focus on is that D over F sharp. And what we're highlighting here is that transition. So here we go. This next example is just something I chucked together. It's a bit of a Sam Cooke-esque kind of example. But what I want to highlight here is how you can build tension and resolve, particularly around something like the 5 chord or the 4 chord. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a 1, 6, 4 progression in E major. So we're going to do the E major, a C sharp minor as a bar chord, an A major as an open chord, and back to the E. So. couple of things I want to think about here is how can I use a slash chord to augment that, to make that feel like it's got some more tension or some differences to it. Now, I recommend just trying some, but there are some that you'll see which are more common. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change some of the chord shapes. And this is something else you can do, again, over and above slash chords. You can actually look at playing things as triads or playing that chord triad in a different position to get a different sound. So for example, in this instance, I'm going to play my E major up here. So I've got my triad with the E in the bass. And what that's going to allow me to do is going to be able to put a B in the bass here. So I'm going to do an E over B. Got to keep the C sharp minor the same, and then the A, instead of going to the open, I'm going to play a triad, which I could just do on its own, but I'm going to use my thumb to hit the A in the bass, and back to the E. Got to repeat that again. Now on the last time, so last time around, the penultimate chord, so the A, I'm going to start with A, and then I'm going to do an A over B, and resolve back to the E. So let's have a go at that. So why is that kind of cool, or why does that change it a little bit? So I think that's a cool little progression. You know, it can be anything you want. This is just an example. But the thing I most like about this is I've used the B over the E, and I've again used it in the A. But the A one is interesting because A is the fourth chord going back to the one. Now you may have not come across cadences before, but if you do know them, then great. If you don't, a cadence is basically a way of resolving back to the one chord. There's some perfect and imperfect ways to do it. Now, an A, so a four chord going back to the one chord, is called a plagal cadence. It's commonly used in kind of gospel music, church music, and it's a great way to go back to the one chord. Feels lovely when it goes back. But the most perfect way to do it would be to go from the 5 chord, normally as a dominant, and move that back to the 1. So if we take a B7, it's got loads more pull to it, loads more draw. But hey, what are we doing here? We're putting a B in the bass. Now B is the 5th again of the E, so we're actually combining the 4th and then the 5th. So in essence, the first part of that bar is regular 4th with the A, and the last bar, the stabs, it's got that B in the bass, implying the 5th. So it's making that a little bit more stronger of a pull to go back to the 1 chord. So again, just the A, or with the A over B. Now you probably heard that on loads of things, probably quite a lot of TV shows as well. It's quite a common thing, used to be on old sitcoms and all the rest of it. So that's a great little example, I think, to have a go with. I'm going to post in the YouTube video down below some common open chords you might see as slash chords, so you can just have a play with them. Try and stick with the key when you first start out. But if you want to be a bit more funky, you know, you can try and do non-diatonic stuff, which is when you're playing a bass note which isn't in that key. So again, if we chose like C major as our key, obviously C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C are all the notes in that. So if we used any one of those as a bass note over any chord in that diatonic progression, then that's diatonic. But let's say we chose to do like a G sharp or something, that's non-diatonic because we've taken the bass note out of a different key. Another little kind of cool little trick, maybe used in rock a little bit more. I'm going to take a major triad, move it up 2 frets. So it's a real ascending line, like it's not really resolving, but it's just moving up. Now what I'm going to do over that is I'm going to do an A in the bass, which if you're talking about composition as well, that's something called a oblique motion, where you've got one note in the bass and you're moving everything up, you're keeping that consistent note. But using that with slash chords has a really cool effect. So let's have a listen. Now I defy you to find a film that hasn't got that kind of type of thing in it, you know. So again, a really useful effect, particularly if you write, maybe not even just guitar music, maybe that you write composition music for TV, you might write library music for TV. Again, a cool little thing to think about. So again, for example, if you're doing normal straight cowboy chord stuff, so let's say we chose E minor, G, D, and C. So great stuff, normal stuff. But if we want to spice it up, maybe we'll get that D over F sharp in there before we get to the G. Maybe on the C at the end, we'll put the fifth in the bass with the G and see how that sounds. So. We start to build up a bit of a different progression. And one of the other cool things about that is it might actually help with voice leading. So it might help with the way that the vocal melody is going to transfer across. It might help to imply an actual vocal melody because there's more steps going on. So again, in the bass, going from E to G, it's a fairly normal bass line, to D. But if we're adding in those slash chords, we've got more bass movement. Something like that, where there's a bit more bass movement in it, and that can help with the flow of the song. It can help imply again the vocal melody, which you might find comes in, or it might even help to kind of determine how you're going to play solos and other things, because you're going to take that melody, which is hopefully now a bit more complex, got a bit more substance to it, a bit more draw for the listener. And it's not strictly just for pop and rock. Of course, you can use this in any type of format. Like I said before, it's used in jazz. I mean, even heavy metal. I mean, I haven't got a distortion tone, but if we try to E minor, dropping down a half step, up a full step from there, and back. So. It's really in loads of different types of music. So just, again, try it out in no matter what music you play. They're really going to help out your playing. I think they're going to help you sound more professional, particularly if you're a singer-songwriter or something like that. This could be just the missing piece that will really help it out. So slash chords, really useful. They're useful to create nice transitions from chord to chord, and they're useful to create tension to make resolves more natural. So thanks for listening again, guys. I'm Terry Sutton from Terry Sutton Music. Keep playing, keep watching, keep learning. If you have any problems at all, any questions, put them in the comments below. Like and subscribe and all the rest of that. But I will reply to all your comments and help in any way I can. But again, have an awesome day. Peace out.